Double P Podcast is proud to present
the first podcast you listen to after you watch
Y the Last Man. My name's Bubba, and with me, as always, is someone who lies and tells Hero that he thinks she's funny. It's Catfish. Catfish, what's up?
I'm doing great, Bubba. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. Like Sam, I'm out of here. I'm tired of your shenanigans, but I'll stick around for this podcast.
We're going to be discussing episode 8 of season 1 of Y the Last Man. Ready, period. Aim, period. Fire, period. Actually, I should just say fire, period. There's no exclamation at the end of that. Tensions at the PriceMax spiral out of control. Hero and Sam pass the points of no return, and Nora uncovers a dangerous secret. Ooh, Catfish, what is your rating for episode 8?
You know, Bubba, I prepared so well for this podcast that I forgot to do the double until just now, but I came up with one.
Oh, great.
I'm going to give this one a 6.5, what I like to call double S's.
Double S's?
Yes, sayonara, Sams.
Sam sayonara. It took him a bit of time, but he finally got out while the getting's good. And he was able to get out and survive. You know, he wasn't murdered for leaving. Good work, Sam. So, Catfish, why that number? Why that rating?
Well, I just feel like, it's... Some of my frustration with the comic series itself was they kind of added a lot of things because once it became a success, they're like, oh, we got to go for a while. But this is sort of reminiscent to me of a little bit of when our buddy Double M? Yeah, Matt Murdick and I did Penny Dreadful City of Angels.
Oh, no.
And why I say that is because they really set a lot of groundwork up in that first season for seasons after that. Now, spoiler alert, if you are ever going to watch Penny Dreadful City of Angels, seasons after that, it seemed like they just saved too much and there was too much table setting. Mm-hmm. So I really felt like, wow, we really, I'm curious to hear your rating because after you were ready for things to boil over, this is episode 8, we really spent a lot of time on the Roxanne backstory and storyline.
Oh, yeah.
This really felt like we really put the brakes on and stopped the momentum.
Catfish, I am 100% with you. This is the type of episode I think you would really want season 2, episode 3 or 4, where we've had half a season or more of Roxanne torturing and running roughshod over this group of women. Then you jump back in time and reveal, she is a self-made roughneck, Roxanne. But instead, it's happening here in episode 8 where it really feels like we should be building steam. So I am tough on this episode. I'm not maybe as low as I would think I would go, but I'm going to give this episode 7 double P's out of 10.
Oh, yeah, double P's?
Well, remember last week we had our triple F's.
Triple F's.
Former First Ladies? Mm-hmm. Well, when we here in the FX on Hulu game talk about double P's, we're talking about previous PriceMaxes. So this used to be a PriceMax. It's no longer a PriceMax. It's a previous PriceMax. 7 out of 10. Yeah, this episode was just in the wrong place in the season. Now, I did go 7 out of 10, where at times, this is just such an almost unpleasant world to be in. I wanted to go lower, but I have to give it credit. It is well acted. It is interesting drama. It's just this show, for really always having about 3 focuses, meaning Yorick, Agent 355, and now Dr. Mann. Second focus being Washington, D.C., and third focus being this PriceMax. Why in the world would you dedicate one episode to the PriceMax? Certainly there's drama here, and once again, I'm going to praise the acting, the writing, but the drama is almost of the same note, and just for a different flavor of an episode, I think you would want to go somewhere else, maybe to Yorick and crew there. So 7 out of 10, it's just tough to watch this episode. I like all these characters. I find them interesting, even if I don't like them, I should say. But this one didn't sing, and I think this is the weakest episode of the season. What do you think?
Well, I mean, the other thing is, the only thing, once they started down the Roxanne backstory line, the only thing that was surprising to me was at the end, the shit she had to take at PriceMax itself.
Oh, yeah.
She barges in. She's like, who was shooting? You know she was the one who was doing the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it's sort of a surprise that she was not rugged at all and is sort of lying like Nora identifies she's lying. That was interesting, but I really felt like, maybe if it had been leavened with another storyline.
Yeah.
But it really felt like the focus was just too much on this for, something so late in the season.
Okay, now that is our feedback, listeners. We always say we don't care what we think. We want to care what we want to care. We care what you think. Write to us on our social media platforms at DoublePHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/DoublePHQ. That's the word double, the single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at DoublePHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/DoublePHQ. We want you, if you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, we want you to subscribe. Even if we say things you don't agree with, we want you to subscribe, join us on this journey into this world lacking a lot of Y chromosomes. If you don't subscribe in the first place. So please subscribe.
Bubba, you are on top of your game today. I'm just saying, if you are so angry with us that you don't want to even listen to the rest of the podcast,
right.
Remember, you can always watch Law and Order on TV. It's always on. Now, if you need to get season 10,
right,
and you have to have season 10, well, maybe you may need to swipe that. One of the funny, awesome things from this episode also, I like it when Nora's mom's daughter, Nora's daughter, says, I'm not stupid. I know they don't like you.
Oh,
awesome.
Ouch.
Awesome. So good. There was some good stuff here.
There is.
I needed some other stuff. You can't leave me in the PriceMax for an entire episode.
Oh man, I can't even go into a PriceMax for an hour. I'm like, go in, get what I want, and then leave. So we did get some feedback this week, a couple of fun feedbacks.
Love it.
The first one is from our buddy Axe Chucker, at Axe Chucker, all one word on Twitter. And Axie is the best. He was compiling all those fun tweets from Game of Thrones that would go up on Watchers at the Wall. And Catfish, why don't you read what Axie wrote?
Axie said, saw the first episode of Why the Last Man, loved it.
Oh yeah, that ending is great, Axie. I agree.
Spoiler below.
Uh-oh.
Saw the second episode and kind of hated it.
Oh, no.
I guess there's no avoiding extreme time jumps once they make it a thing, but I was invested and interested in what occurred within the next 24 hours.
Axie is almost going right with us, where we wanted to see the immediate aftermath of the horrific event that killed all those Y chromosome men and creatures and animals. And so, that's tough. Axie, in the streaming digital world, he's a bit behind us on the show, but Axie, we hope you continue. I'll write back to you and say we hope you continue on with this fun show. What do you think about Axie's feedback, Catfish?
I mean, I think he was agreeing with me at the time, so I'm going to put that another one in what I like to call the double C.
Wait, the double C?
Yeah, the Catfish column.
Oh, man, that makes two. Now, Catfish, we have had some great interactions with some of the creators of the shows that we podcast about. We had
some people might even be treadmilling in anger right now at us.
Oh no, I hope not. We're honest. We're still very positive. The writer of the Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell miniseries gave us a signed copy of the pilot script, or the first episode script, I should say, to give away to our listeners. We had all those wonderful actors on the Terror Infamy writing us and heckling us as we cracked wise about their show. And we've had some great people here from Why the Last Man. So actress Juliana Canfield, who plays Beth on the show, there was a tweet put out by the official Why the Last Man Twitter account where it said, "Who can you trust?" And it had a picture of Beth and a picture of Christine. I just wrote back, I was like, not Beth. Of can you trust? I put not Beth. And this wonderful actress, Juliana Canfield, who's also on the HBO show Succession, she tweeted back with some emojis that I think she was very upset that we were saying not Beth, Catfish.
Well, I mean, it's not her fault. She plays a complex, backstabby character.
Right. So we got that emoji tweet from her, and then we tweeted back, "Sorry, but your character is pulling a hashtag Beth Trail. Copyright Yorick's Broken Heart." And that tweet was kind enough to get liked by actress Juliana Canfield again, but also actress Jess Salguero, who plays Christine Flores on Why the Last Man. Thank you, actress, so much. Hell yeah.
I love it. I love it.
This episode really could have used some Beth and Christine, I think.
Yes, I'm all in, 100% behind you. I'm going to put that also in the catfish column.
No, that's three in the catfish column. All right, heck yeah. Now, Catfish, before we dive into this episode, the big news on the week of October 18th, 2021 that we're talking about is that, as we've said multiple times, you watch this show in different areas all around the world. Here in the United States, you open up an app called Hulu, and then it's in like a subfolder called FX on Hulu. In other parts of the world, you just watch it in Disney Plus add-on called Star, or that add-on is called Star Plus, or that add-on is called HotStar. Uggity, uggity, uggity. Well, recently, Hulu and FX said they're not going to make season 2 of the show. So,
Boo!
Catfish, you just mentioned a show we podcasted on. Penny Dreadful, City of Angels. We've podcasted on The Rook from the TV network Stars. We've podcasted on the one-season wonder Emerald City on NBC here in the United States.
So, Bubba, that brings me to another proposal.
Okay, let's hear it.
For anybody out there who's a creator,
Yeah.
if you would like to pay us to not podcast about your
Right, we're on
show,
luck.
we're show killers.
Now, Catfish, you say this. Let's just start off right the bat. Those other 3 shows, they were weak. They were messes. I know we're getting very tough on this episode of Why the Last Man, episode 8, Ready, Aim, Fire. But those other shows were complete messes. Why the Last Man? This episode tonight, this episode we're talking about, in this series as a whole, this is not a disaster, a train wreck like those shows. This show, it's like you just want to tweak it a bit, don't you think? Or do you have a different take?
I want to see more of this show. I'm loving the world. I love everything they do. We've been assured that at some point Hero isn't going to be heroable. That is the combination of hero and horrible.
Yeah.
We're told that she has a lot to learn. It seems maybe now she's got even more to learn. But I'm all in.
I'm all in
on
too.
this show, and we've been waiting for it for so long. And maybe it's just not catching on for some reason or another. I don't know. Hulu knows what their numbers are. They're not going to share it with us. I don't know what this combination of FX on Hulu. It's all very puzzling how this all intermeshes.
Right.
Yeah.
This decision, apparently, FX had to decide by October 15th, which is just 4 days ago from when we're recording, whether to spend $3 million to extend the options on the cast for the second season. And so that's why they decided, before even episode 8 aired, it was like that date, they had to decide, hey, are we going to spend $3 million to extend the options on the cast to come back?
Right.
For
And now there's also a specific thing with this. It used to be that before the great combining of media companies, that there were some shows that were produced in-house, and that is that NBC would own a show or Fox would own a show. And so therefore that is worth more money to them when it goes into syndication or further down to streaming, etc., because they have a piece of that. That's kind of why Brooklyn Nine-Nine moved from one network to another, because strangely it was being produced by, was it first, it moved from NBC to Fox, right? Or the other way?
No. It moved from NBC to Fox. It was originally produced by 20th Century Television.
Right. So it was strange that it was, you might think that it was strange, but Fox produced it, but it was on NBC for a while. So when NBC was like, it's no more, Fox was like, well, let's make some more seasons of it, and then we'll get more money when it comes to syndicating it.
Oh, yeah.
So in this case, what you're telling me, though, is that Hulu is the producer of this show, or FX
Productions. FX Productions is. Now, even though you would think, hey, if they're the producers and they're canceling it, it might be over. A lot of people think, and the showrunner, Eliza Clark, is trying to get another company to pick this up. And sources believe that HBO Max is a likely target for it. Why is that? Warner Media, which owns HBO Max, also owns DC Comics, which owns Vertigo, which published the original Why the Last Man comic series from 2002 to 2008. So hashtag synergy. Here we go. That'd be great.
I love it. I mean, HBO Max is maybe they want more comment. Maybe they'll stop actually. Warner Brothers will actually stop losing money by putting all their movies on HBO Max, and will want some additional content. And then that means they would pick up Why the Last Man. So now the question, though, is now that all these contracts haven't been picked up, would they have to go and renegotiate with everybody all over again? That's the reason why shows are very smart, in that when they sign you, they'll sign you for 3 years, 5 years, whatever, so that, after the first year, you can't say, oh, this show's a hit, so now I would like to have $2 million an episode.
Well, I am ready for HBO Max to renegotiate your and my contract. So let's go, HBO, Warner Media.
Excellent.
Let's do this.
As soon as we get a contract from them, I will happily renegotiate it.
I want to give my own 2 cents on this. I've said that I think this show is good. This episode is a hiccup, and so it's weird that we're talking about this during this episode. But to me, this really reminds me of several shows. Number one, it reminds me of what happened with The Last Kingdom. The Last Kingdom is based on a series of popular books by Bernard Cornwell. We podcast about The Last Kingdom as well. And The Last Kingdom was made by BBC Two and BBC America here in the United States. They helped produce it and air it. But after season 2, they were like, we just can't afford to keep doing this show. Netflix stepped in, picked up The Last Kingdom, and made a season 3. And then it was like, oh, look at these numbers. That's pretty good. Let's go to season 4. Okay, that's pretty good. And they're currently making season 5. The Expanse was canceled by Sci-Fi. Amazon saw the show, picked it up. 1 season, they're like, oh, these numbers are pretty good. They made another season, pretty good. Made another season. These shows, now you have FX and Hulu doing big shows, like big star shows, meaning Nicole Kidman and Melissa McCarthy were in 9 Perfect Strangers. Only Murders in the Building has big stars like Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez. Why the Last Man has a huge star in Diane Lane, but she isn't the focus of it. She's one of the focuses, but she's not out front on a poster like you might have Nicole Kidman and Melissa McCarthy. And so this show just really does feel like The Last Kingdom. And I promise you, if you, behind the curtains here, listeners, I actually work in streaming media and streaming video. And so I don't want to go too deep into my own thought process on this. But I think if you just leave this on your streamer, it's going to grow slower than shows that kind of get a big splash with the Nicole Kidman. But it's going to grow. And this is just, I think this is incredibly short-sighted by Hulu. I just know it is. And it'll be interesting. I hope our good friends HBO Max pick it up. I mean, and Hulu, once again, and the Hulu, I put this final note in our thing here, Catfish. Here I'm talking about they need big stars. Hulu just greenlit a History of the World Part 2 series from Mel Brooks. I mean, give me a break. Come on, Hulu. What are you trying to do here?
Well, they're trying to do the, people have been clamoring for that sequel for 35 years.
Oh, give me a break. Now, Mel Brooks is a, American comedy legend. Comedy legend. I shouldn't have put that qualifier on him. And he's made some great movies. History of the World Part 1, it's got some memes, but it is not. We did not need History of the World Part 2. I think they're trying to do blockbuster stuff on Hulu. I mentioned these big stars on some of their other shows, like they do blockbuster stuff on Disney+. I'm just not down for it. I think it's a huge mistake.
Well, Bubba, this just reminds me, everyone's trying to get these huge shows. They want to get huge subscriber things,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wonder as if there's going to be too much expansion and then contraction.
Without question, don't you think?
I mean, I think so. I don't know. I mean, Hulu is sadly, because I have 2 versions of the ad-supported Hulu.
Oh my God.
That I can't combine to a non-ad-supported.
Right.
They have as much as, if not more, commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Than a regular show. So for tonight's episode, which was 54 minutes long,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how long it was when I stopped and started watching it, but it's like I either have to stop watching Hulu, which is probably my 3rd favorite streaming service, maybe 4th.
All right.
Or pay for it.
Well, one thing I know you won't do is pay for it.
As soon as I get rid of cable, like the rest of the smart people in the world.
Okay. Now, Catfish, well, let's get into this episode. We've kind of put it off long enough. We're a bit down on it, but let's dive in. In this episode, let's just be upfront about it. It's all PriceMax all the time. I call it clean up on aisle Y. Well, which story do you want to tackle in PriceMax? Do you want to talk about Hero and her seemingly getting on with drinking the Kool-Aid, getting on with the cult? Do you want to talk about Nora's story where it's like, hey, I'm ready to leave. Wait a minute. Can I PR my way into a great situation? Do you want to talk about Sam's version here at the PriceMax, or do you want to talk about the Memento-esque flashback, Roxanne's rise to power? Which of these stories do you want to talk about here in PriceMax USA?
The first thing I want to do is let's RIP it up for Kate.
I renamed her Catfish. Is it okay if I gave her character a different name?
Yeah, go ahead.
I renamed her Who the Hell is Kate?
Well, now here's a question.
Yeah.
I suppose I should pay closer attention Although at the time I wasn't aware that we'd be kind of moving back and forth in time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, so she was talking to her. So Kate's somebody who's trying to get away in the present time.
Oh, yeah.
Who's just had enough, and she's out.
Yeah, but she went outside the perimeter. Naughty, naughty, Kate.
Well, not only she went outside the perimeter, but she was clearly trying to escape. She's like, just let me go. So she is not down for that. And
guess what Kate received?
A medal.
She did. Who the hell is Kate? It's been honored with the medal of who the hell were you? So
well, Kate got a medal, and it's funny,
yeah.
We see everybody else who is completely down for this, and Kate is seeing the writing on the wall and would rather take her chances outside the perimeter. She didn't get very far. Let's just say that.
Kate didn't watch the classic Planet of the Apes. She should know you don't go into the Forbidden Zone. Nothing good ever happens out there. So
love it.
Roxanne, let's just do her story, her backward story. We'll even cover it backwards. So she kills Kate, but then we see her breaking into the Domestic Violence Women's Center, that home with the barn and the horses and stuff. Mm-hmm. And she brings them to the PriceMax. And this is Roxanne starting to build an army. And right in that first meeting where she brings them into the PriceMax, we see who the hell is Kate trying to build a bit of camaraderie with all the people and with Roxanne. So, Kate, we hardly knew you, literally, but R.I.P. who the hell is Kate?
I love it.
Then we flash back further and we see Roxanne. She's out in the parking lot, and she's got some people like on a tarp, and she's burning them. Could you tell where this was going? I mean, I assumed they were former PriceMax employees, but I wasn't sure. And while she's out there burning them, she spies a horse, which leads her to the infamous Domestic Violence Women's Center. What did you think when you saw Roxanne lighting people up?
Well, but before that, she sees, and this is our first, doesn't she spy the cop car and see the dead cop?
No, that...
before she sees...
You're right.
She goes back to the car later, but she gets the first example. So I think this is where I was like, oh, and I saw the cop and I was like, oh, shoot, she's not a cop.
Right. She's doing her own version of defund the police. So, yeah, okay, well, just jump anywhere in Roxanne's story. Do you want to follow that cop, which got halfway into the lake? It was like, go jump in a lake halfway.
Yeah, and then the cop becomes Roxanne, and Roxanne becomes Roughneck Roxanne.
Love Roughneck Roxanne. She put a lot of work into this. Let's give it up. Like, she is learning how to drive semi-trucks so she could build that perimeter outside the PriceMax. This origin story takes us back to manager Terry being an a-hole. Where some guy, the manager Terry, claims that some worker there, Jenna, is playing grab ass with another employee. And yet she's silent, and manager Terry says the god-awful line. Maybe you could learn something from her. Oh, what a jerk. You want to be in charge? Go work somewhere else. Ouch.
It is really bad. It's really bad. But before that, strangely, because again, her story went back in time.
Right.
This was like the Tenet episode. So her backstory went back in time. So before that, we see someone comes into the PriceMax, starts shooting the place up.
Oh, yeah.
And another one comes in, and they sort of do one of those old duels where they both kill themselves. So it wasn't that point is when she sort of gets a little radicalized, I think. Not radicalized, but like, okay, I'm going to take a little bit more charge here.
Yeah, and then anybody else who comes into the PriceMax, guess what they receive? Say it
a
with
medal.
They get medals. Say it with us, listeners. They get medals. Anything else about this? Was it shocking? Like I said, I kind of feel like you push this reveal to season 2 when we've really come to fear and loathe Roxanne, but they're dropping it right here. Any other thoughts about Roxanne's origin story?
The reason why they needed to drop it here was so that Nora would have something over her.
I don't know. I wonder if Nora could have found another way over her.
They could have had the people sort of start to lose focus. Mm-hmm. As Nora said, people could have already been like, all right, enough with the men already. I mean, it's funny that it didn't. The Amazons was kind of a shorter period in the comic books, but there was a certain point I got into this episode where I thought, enough. How can you continue to keep bashing the men? They're not around. They don't need to fear them anymore. And then the episode smartly does, and I thought, well, is that because I'm a dude and I'm being a dick about it? And then the episode, and then the show smartly says, like, Nora's like, this isn't going to work forever. You can't have a boogeyman if there are no men.
You know what? You say that, but we are in Halloween season right now. Do you know how many Halloweens have come out? You can have a boogeyman go on forever. I'm down with Roxanne. Let's just go.
All right, I love it. So we memento it up.
Yep.
We've covered that one. Which part do you want to cover next?
Well, why don't we just go to Sam next? Because Sam, he's a bit confusing to me in this episode. I think there's some great drama in here.
Oh, that's funny because I don't find him I am all hashtag Team Sam this episode.
Okay, well, let's get to it. In this first part of Sam's story, I'm actually going to, it kind of ties in with Nora's story. So I'm going to jump to Nora's story for a second and say Nora is begging Sam for help to escape. Sam snaps back at her. Did I give you the impression that we're friends? Sam, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Nora wants to escape. You want to escape. Why was he being such a jerk to Nora? Why were you doing that, Sam? It didn't make any sense to me. So you got a thought there?
Okay, well, I can see where this is sort of problematic, where he could have looked for more allies.
Right.
But the real issue here is that his interaction with Hero. Basically, he's wanted to stick with Hero. He tells her, I didn't go with the other people and leave you behind because you're the one. I mean, basically, he tells her that he is all in with her. He wants to be with her.
Right.
But he realizes that she is a mess. She is a heroable person.
Oh, no.
You're right. You're right. I cannot say that. You're like, you better practice saying that. I cannot say it.
I told you.
She's heroable.
Why Nora? Why take it out on Nora? Now, there is some backstory of Nora was a PR person for a press secretary. I should give her due, for a Republican president, and you assume they might have been conservative and not trans supportive. In fact, Nora even says, I didn't create that bill. Don't blame me for that. And then Sam snaps back that, hey, I didn't play sports. I don't care about it. But Sam, gather allies. If by yourself you're not able to convince Hero to skip town, why not maybe see if Nora and her daughter could help you get Hero back on the straight and narrow? I don't know.
Well, see, this was the one thing that I didn't understand about the show either, and I guess it's just Roxanne. I feel like they couldn't fully hit it because it doesn't make sense of Roxanne trying to make Sam a villain.
He is a man, and men are terrible, right? So Sam was never going to be able to survive in that crazy world, in this cult, which has convinced everybody men were the root of all evil. They're gone. Giddy up, let's go.
No, that was the problem. It's not that. It's men were the root of all evil, and we still have to be angry at men. We're like shooting at men. It's they have to shoot at dummy men because there are no men left except for, okay, Sam, yes, a man.
Well, how about this?
Sam's point of view, he's just he's like it takes him a lot. It takes him a lot to just kind of like, okay, I give up on Hero. I'm just gonna go on.
Oh, it does. But Sam, the episode opens with Sam realizing this is wrong. I've got to get the F out of PriceMax. I mean, you know, he's not a gun guy. The fact that he's a theater kid, Roxanne is straight up ice cold dissing him. Hey, you know, theater is fun, but the rest of us are trying to stay alive. I mean, ouch.
You know, I bet her tune would have been different if he'd have been in one of the opening scenes from A Law and Order.
Right, that
like,
would she would have
pick up
accepted
that
it.
Trash. Oh, what's in the trash?
Oh my goodness gracious!
He could have been one of those people from Law and Order.
Let me tell you something, buddy. Theater is fun, but the rest of us are trying to stay alive. I mean, I haven't heard a review that tough. All right, since people saw Cats, thank you. But then his fight with Hero gets real ugly. And I wrote in the notes, I was like, Sam, read the room. You can't win this. Did he not see how dangerous it was? Sam, get up and leave. If you had made a pact with Nora, you could have gotten away earlier with her. And then when he's caught stealing, and Roxanne drops, Hero's not your problem anymore. Dang, Sam. Sam, are you not picking up what Roxanne is giving out? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, he just knew how freaky everything was, and he finally realized that he couldn't get Hero out of there, and he just had to save his own skin. So I think you say Sam didn't read the room. He read the room. He fled the room. He fled the entire PriceMax.
Now, you say that. Hold on. Now, you're saying, oh, Sam can't leave Hero. Sam can't leave Hero. If you and I were in a similar situation, I'm talking episode 3, I'm out.
Yeah. She is not worth it. I'm just going to say that. Not worth it.
Ouch. Okay, now Sam ends up at school. This might seem a bit exciting for some of us comic readers, in that I'm almost positive this isn't in the comic at all. He starts rocking on the piano. Principal Blackwell's hanging out and saying, hey, I got to stay at the school. Someday the children will be back. And that Sam's plan has been the highlight of her day. This is kind of like a good place that it seems Sam has ended up. What do you think? Where can you imagine we're going from here?
I don't know. Maybe they'll get together with all the people who are in the good place in the last episode when we actually had Agent 355. That's the real shame. There's no 355 in this episode. That's a crime. I love this character, Sam. Oh. I love him. I love him. My only question is like, we're going to go off and follow another storyline?
I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So then episode 9, in the entirety of the episode, Sam.
Oh, hold on now. How many songs does Sam know? We know he knows Chopsticks. We know. Okay, so we talked about our big bad Roxanne. We talked about our escape while the time is good, or a couple hours after the time is good, Sam. Catfish, why don't we go to Nora, who I have always loved as a character, and she's just got a bizarre story of her own. She doesn't fit in. She is cold-shouldered everywhere in the PriceMax, but her daughter Mack, Mackenzie, is having fun. And then Nora's like, okay, my daughter's having fun, but then a character named Nicole lets it slip by saying, you need to get out of the PriceMax. You'll find a group where you'll fit in. Ow, ow, ow. You're angry. I don't blame you. Ouch. Ooh.
Now, well, this is what I don't understand. Sorry, I'm just a little befuddled. So the theory is your daughter is healthy now, so now you can go? Is that kind of how it was explained?
That is the way I believe it. I also believe that Nora was staying here because she got kicked out of other places. And so it's like, of course, I'll stay here at the PriceMax. It's not fun, but they have food, yada, yada. But then Nora, after some of those Roxanne sessions where it's like, what did your grandpa say, Mack, the first time you walked into her room? Nora is like, this isn't healthy for my daughter. And of course, she's going to giddy up and go. Why not? I'm with Nora.
Oh, no, I disagree. Sure, but she wasn't going to just take her daughter somewhere.
Well, she needed food. Like she's claiming, I'll die out there if there's no food. And once again, she was begging Sam to help her escape. So I don't think she wanted to escape on her own with Mack. She knew that she needed support.
Yeah, that's true. Look, Nora, she's looking out for number 1.
Who's the one?
It's me, I hope.
Well, I like this actress a lot, Marin Ireland. I think she's doing a great job. We have this party. Mack is having fun, and Mack can see through her mother's stuff. And Mack pulls some, oh my Lord. Mack pulls the ultimate bad child move where Nora's like, hey, come on, we're going to go. And Mack's like, Dad would have let me stay. Oh, ouch.
Do you think that's worse than saying, I'm not stupid, I know they don't like you, that essentially you're the one who's screwing this up for me, Mom?
Okay, well, let's have a debate. Let's go. What would be worse to say to your mom? That the dead dad treated you nicer, or that your mom is not one of the cool Reginas? What do you think?
Well, it all depends. I mean, one's more manipulative than the other, and one's just more of a dick move.
You're saying Mack was being a total jerk?
So if I was going to say how I'm like Mack, I would say it's I know nobody likes you. Because I'm not manipulative, but boy, can I be a dick.
Okay, there is a big rave going on. They're going to get their, these Amazons are going to get their Amazon on. Everybody's getting crunk. It is a total 3-alarm fire, literally, because Nora is going to burn down the gosh darn PriceMax. Holy smokes. Lots of smoke. Nora finds a tub of lighter fluid, and it's like, I need something to change this dynamic. I'm going to burn it all down. Nora is awesome. I am with Nora. Hail to the year.
Now, quick question.
Okay.
So, why? Nora had a few options. One, she's standing over sleeping Roxanne. She could just kill her.
Yeah, sure.
Two,
Okay, two.
she could explain to. I guess her theory was without all the stuff, Roxanne's going to need a different Holt. Do you think this is her plan? She's standing over. She's like, I could kill her, but what if I take away all our goods and then she needs a good PR person? You think she thought it through fully before she did the fire?
How do you think she got that job as press secretary for the president? She went to the Oval Office with a can of lighter fluid. I don't know. I really think her first thought was, to hell with this. I've got to do something that's going to break my daughter's hold on this place. My daughter likes this place because there's stuff. And so, yeah, that was, I think, her first thought, or I assume that would be my first thought if I were Nora.
You're forgetting another thing. I mean, Nora went through a Rolodex of ideas because she also tried to convince Hero, let's go back to the Pentagon. I can get us in. We know what would get them into the Pentagon would be Hero.
Right.
So Nora is, she put her thinking cap on for this episode.
Right. She does burn it down, though. Now we find out she has a backpack. She's been building up some supplies for when she was going to get out of there. I love that. She even somehow got her hand on a pistol. She's out there. Who does she see? It's this vulture. This vulture has been following her around. It was the vulture in her backyard where her dead husband and dead son were. She sees this vulture, finds the police car sunk in a lake, and that's when it's time to go to Roxanne and make a deal with the devil.
We don't get to see the full knowledge that she has until kind of the end of her explaining it.
Yep.
And we don't see what she finds, and that is Roxanne's name tag from PriceMax. What Roxanne forgets is if you're going to totally change your personality, change your name.
Nah, come on. I've always been a Roxanne.
Well, all right.
What did you think about Nora's selling point to Roxanne? Did the PR message make sense? Because Roxanne, she's got a new stump speech. She tells the story of the Amazons. We celebrate the absence of fear. We are the daughters of the Amazon, and the world is ours now.
Right, and they explain what I explained about the Amazons
on a previous podcast.
What I mansplained about on a previous podcast about that they remove one of their breasts so that they could be better archers. The funny thing is that Nora's plan makes complete sense to me because, like I said, I got to the point where I was like, how is this pitch still working? How long can you continue to let's dredge everything up about all the men who've hurt us when they all gone? So I completely bought that story.
I love Nora. Who do you think in this new dynamic, though, has more power, Nora or Roxanne? Who is the true leader? Is it the one giving the speeches or the one writing the speeches?
I'll just say this. Nora, I feel like Nora's going to have to keep proving her worth. I still think Roxanne's got all the power. Nora didn't even get first dibs on food. She just got promised she would get food.
But they have an maybe unhealthy, but they do have an alliance here at the end of the episode. Nora, Roxanne, I think it's going to work out at least for a little bit until they start butting heads. And they have at least one member, way more than one member, but they at least have one member who is fully committed, fully invested, fully, as I like to keep saying, drinking the Kool-Aid, and that is Heroable Hero. What do you think about this, Catfish? There's a lot of beats in her story. Hero is a complete convert. That's a double C right there for you, Catfish column. And so Hero is a natural shot, but Jody, there's this other character there, part of the Amazons, who apparently, according to Roxanne, is like a redwood when she's firing. Not good.
Yeah, but when are they going to bring back Kate for target practice?
No.
I feel like they need a little bit more challenge, but not too much of a challenge. So I feel like if they just drag Kate in and she crawls across the parking lot.
Oh, man. Moving target.
Also, before the fire ruined everything, I thought, how many bullets can they have? Like, you can't, when you think of all these, end of world, all the things that are not around, eventually you won't be able to drive a car around because the gas pumps won't work. And so, but at a certain point, you got to be thinking, we need to save these bullets for actual people coming after us and not just mannequins.
Have you ever been in a PriceMax? They have got enough guns for years, decades.
It's the bullets. It's the bullets I worry about.
Saying,
forget the guns.
Listen
It's the bullets.
Me. They've got the blue light special going at PriceMax.
They don't have enough bullets for them to just be wasting bullets. At least not with Jody. Jody shouldn't get to fire anymore.
Poor Jody. Come on, Jody. Stick
Sorry,
up, Jody.
Sink or swim.
Now, after we had that a bit of target practice, Roxanne, the one thing we know about her, she loves an audience for her homespun stories. This is Roxanne's fireside chat, and she's making other people get in on the man-hating action there, Catfish. And what is she trying to make Hero do?
I mean, she is, like everybody, she is trying to get them to fixate on things that happened in the past and how horrible the men in her life were. I feel like, again, I'm glad that we got to the point where Nora was like, you got to start singing a different tune. Because, yes, Hero had some horrible people in her life and people weren't great to her. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I just feel like you need something else to get everybody on your side. So, Hero, to her credit, pretty much balks at this, you know?
Yeah, she would not throw Yorick under the bus. But, hey, what did Yorick say about you when you weren't in the room? Mm-hmm. Oh, the manipulative Amazons. I love it. Do you think
Yes.
Do you think Yorick would have stood up for Hero? Maybe if Yorick had stood up for Hero, the conflict that we still aren't really sure what it is between Hero's mom, Jennifer Brown, and her might have been solved? No.
I mean, they both seem to have a conflict with their mom. I mean, let's face it. You know, Yorick didn't exactly rush to Washington himself. He got taken there.
If he knew Beth was in D.C., he would be there so fast. This would be like Roadrunner. Beep, beep, meow.
Oh, yeah.
But Hero didn't throw her brother out under the bus, as I keep saying. Is this the first positive Hero moment we have? Well, she did loan Yorick some money before, so, that's 2 for 2 when she comes to her brother.
Yeah, I think they're okay with each other. When you are in a family and unite against a common enemy, which appears to have been their mom. I'm sure they supported each other in their hatred of their mom.
Oh, man. So brutal. Sam wants to go to a place without so many guns. We've already kind of talked about that. But Sam does something that I really thought, Sam, you got to keep your mouth shut. He spilled the beans about Amazon Kelsey being all over him. And Hero, who has gone off the deep end, Hero's response is, Kelsey's sweet and a little bit dumb. Youch.
Oh, my God. One thing, Hero, I don't think we'll ever understand is #sisterhood.
Well, after Sam leaves, Hero is crying. She knows that, Sam was the closest person to her. But Roxanne tries to comfort her subject. Roxanne tells the story about her husband leaving her. She had known her husband since high school. Men aren't good. F them. And that's what kind of throws off the F them party, where they're going to be burning up some a-hole's boner pills. Hello.
I mean,
have you ever been, Catfish, we are not the Hollywood elite, but you've been to some Hollywood parties. I've been to some. Have you ever been to some where you throw boner pills on the bonfire?
Never been to a Hollywood party where they throw boner bills on a bonfire. Now, but I have been to Burning Man, so who knows?
Oh man, who knows
what's been thrown in the temple to burn? But I'm guessing at Burning Man, people were holding on to their boner pills.
Oh no, okay,
for use.
Okay, all right. Let's run away from Burning Man. The episode ends with Hero and Kelsey doing some palm reading for each other. She has found the sweet and a little bit dumb Kelsey is easy to get on her side now that Sam is not in the picture. Holy smokes.
Well, as Sam said it, as soon as someone shows interest, it's the clock is ticking. So the clock is officially ticking on you, Kelsey.
How many episodes you give for Kelsey?
1.
Oh, ouch, poor Kelsey. Soon to be winning a medal. Oh. And so that's it, Catfish. Once again, when you talk about the individual elements, I think there's lots of good in these elements. But for me, it was just real tough to spend a whole hour here. I mean, this is a pretty rough spot that we're in and the world is in here post Y chromosome creatures.
Well, that is, we've got the Amazons are in full swing. It took us a while to get there, and we've only got 2 episodes left of this season. That's what I'm going to say. We only have 2 episodes left of this season.
Love it. Hey, Catfish, let's get to our special awards we give out. We don't give out medals like Agent 355, but we do give out awards. And our first award we always give out is our Whoa Man of the episode.
The most awesome woman
is
the woman who showed us what womanhood is all about.
Oh, yes. Okay. So that really makes some sense for my pick. What is womanhood really about? Well, if you watch a lot of media, it's about daughters attacking their mothers. So my Whoa Man of the episode is Mackenzie.
Geez. I thought it was going to be, after you set it up, I thought it was going to be Hero.
They're all heroes in my book, but no. Mackenzie just had so many ice cold snapbacks to her mom, Nora. I loved it. She gets my Whoa Man of the episode. How about you? Who'd you nominate and give it to this week?
Well, Bubba, I'm going to keep it in the family.
Yeah?
I'm giving it to Nora for burning it all down.
Oh, man.
Nora's got a plan, and then another plan. And then another plan.
Oh, yeah.
And one of those plans actually worked. And all it took was a little bit of arson and not giving a flying fuck about anybody else.
Nora is a phoenix rising from the ashes of PriceMax. I love it.
She is indeed.
Hey. We also give out an award entitled Yorick. I knew him, sorta. Ways in which we 2 hosts are like Yorick from this episode. So, Catfish, Yorick wasn't in this episode. Who'd you give your award to this week?
Well, funnily enough, Bubba, even this week, I was not, even early in the episode when I didn't know that Yorick was going to appear, I was already going to take somebody else.
Oh.
Kelsey.
What?
I knew her, sorta, because Kelsey got told that she is sweet and a little bit dumb.
Oh.
And so I'm just like Kelsey, sweet and a little bit dumb, except for the sweet part.
I can't believe you. How dare you? So, Yorick, I knew him sort of for this week for me, is Mackenzie as well. This is 2 awards I'm giving her because, like Mackenzie, sometimes I just tell off my mom. I'm really the worst.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, they're going to be talking about you in the circle for weeks when this thing goes down.
I know. Men, we're terrible.
All right, but before we get to our last special award of the week, as always, we get to people's favorite part of this episode, which is why we leave it to the end because you can't possibly skip forward. It is Double M, Matt Murdick's music analysis of the episode. So, Matt, take it away and shame us.
Hello, everybody. Matt here. Go out, or at least just go to Spotify and look up Erda Steffensdottir and listen to her recently released soundtrack for Y the Last Man. It's brilliant. It's got all of the themes that we've been talking about, and now we have names for them. And I'm not going to go through them all here. If you've been listening to my musical sections, then you'll recognize what I've played and be able to put the names with them as you hear them on the soundtrack. But it's really a gorgeous soundtrack, so do be sure to go check it out. Speaking of that soundtrack, there's a particular cut on that we're going to be focusing on, even though it's slightly different than what we've heard in the television show. And this happens a lot. There's a basic track that they used to represent the theme on a record, and then you hear different variations of it, naturally, because it's tailored to what's happening on your television screen. But the song that I want you to listen to is called Tape Song on that particular soundtrack. It's wonderful, and it's what we're going to be focusing on today, at least the harmonies for it, because the original soundtrack version actually has some vocals on it as well, which are very, very nice. But we've primarily heard this theme so far with just the harmonies of it. I'm talking about this. Once again, you will hear those harmonies on the cut tape song by Erda Steffensdottir for the Y the Last Man original soundtrack. But you will also hear this used in this particular episode, episode 8, when Roxanne was helping Hero to cope with Sam leaving when she took her outside and they were all throwing things into the fire. That's where we heard that. We also heard these chords done in a very similar way when Hero was telling Roxanne about how she had accidentally killed her lover. So 2 instances where it's occurred. In both instances, it was Roxanne helping Hero to heal slightly. And I don't want to designate that as the only reason for using this theme. But listening to this, what I love about it is that it feels unsettled. It feels unresolved, which perfectly fits this feeling that we get when Hero is talking to Roxanne about murdering her boyfriend, or when Roxanne is helping Hero to get past Sam, because these situations are about whether we can resolve these kinds of feelings that we're having. The thing is about this particular set of chords is that it starts off in one direction where you feel like it's going to resolve one way, and then the last chord makes you go, huh? Because you don't know if that is supposed to be the home key. Is that where it's supposed to resolve to? Which would make the chord progression a flat 2 to a flat 3 to the 1. Don't worry about these numbers. But there are other possible resolutions as well. The thing is since we don't have another chord after that third chord, we're not sure. It could resolve this way. That would be a flat 6 to a flat 7 to a 5 to a 1 minor. And since we don't get that last fourth chord there, we don't know. Or what if that 1 minor wasn't a minor, but it was a major? And again, don't worry about these numbers. Just listen to the sounds. What if there was a resolution like this? That's the flat 6 to the flat 7 to the 5 to the 1 major, which feels a little like a happier resolution than the previous one, right? There's another possibility that could happen with this last chord resolving, and that is that it goes back to the key where the first 2 chords are rooted in. They're rooted in the relative 1 major. So in that case, we would be looking at the first chord as a 4, the second chord as a 5, the third chord as a 3 major, and then the last chord as a 1 major, like this. I know. I'm spitting a lot of numbers that don't make any sense to you. To musicians out there, you might be making sense of it, or maybe you just think that I'm rambling too. Either way is cool with me, but I just want to show you how there's all kinds of possibilities as to where this melody could go to. Or maybe it is just meant to sit there by itself, like this. I mean, that's all that we get, right? Anytime that we've heard this theme. So the possibility of just it feeling unresolved to us, or if you feel like it's settled that way, then it makes it feel exotic in that way, because the first 2 chords don't really fit with the third chord's harmony. It's really a very simplistic harmonic progression, but at the same time, it can create such complex feelings. And that's what I love about everything that Erdis has done. Again, go listen to her official soundtrack on Spotify or go get it on Amazon. I would really appreciate it if you would buy it, simply because I'm all for supporting the artists. But I understand not everybody has things in their budget. So however you choose to pay a little homage to Erdis Steffensdotter, do so this week by checking out the Why the Last Man original soundtrack. That's all I got. Back to Bubba and Catfish.
Oh, I feel such shame. Matt giving it 110% every week. Thank you so much, Matt.
Every week.
Every week.
That by the time we get to the last episode, he's going to have 0% to give, because he will have given an additional 100%. Well, Bubba, that leaves us for our very last bit of the episode.
Oh, no.
And that is our suspect of the week.
What's this?
Every week, we're giving little breadcrumbs. Who could have killed all the creatures in the world with a Y chromosome.
Yes.
Bubba, who is your suspect this week?
Well, one group of people, one suspect, but it's kind of a group of people, were really shown in a negative light this week.
Who's that?
Theater kids. They abandoned you to a cult. They just leave you alone. They don't help protect it. We're trying to live here, Sam. So theater kids, you know, if you don't come to their shows, because they're going to bug you to come to their shows each and every time, they're going to take out all men. So theater kids, my suspect of the week.
Whew. Well, Bubba,
Yeah?
I had one that I thought it was, but then I realized I was wrong. So the one that I was wrong about, I thought it was the double K.
Wait, okay, here we go. The double K?
Yeah, the creepy kindergarten lady. I thought it was for sure her, but then I realized it's not because she's really waiting for all the kids to come back.
Yeah, Principal
so
Blackwell is great. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I realized that it was Nora's
Nora's buzzard?
Yeah, you know when you're like painting something, you're like, well, this whole area is going to be blue, so I'll just slap a whole bunch of blue in this area,
Right.
and then when I get to the edges, I'll paint in detail. Nora's buzzard took out all the creatures with a Y chromosome, and then now is taking them out one at a time,
Love
and
it.
has decided Nora's first before I get anybody else.
Run, Nora, run!
Hurry, Nora.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, that buzzard, you know, all Y chromosome creatures really did help that buzzard. Good work, buzzard. Good work, Nora's buzzard. And,
man.
Nora's daughter's mother's buzzard. We love it. Oh, that is good. Hey, we always talk about these silly awards. Listeners, if you want to get in on the silliness, please, we beg you, reach out to us on social media at PHQ on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/PHQ. The word double, the single letter P for podcast, HQ for headquarters, at PHQ, Twitter and Instagram. We deserve our own awards. We deserve our own medals for all this silliness. So please reach out to us and tell us what you think. Catfish.
Oh, please do, please. But now next week, Bubba,
Yeah.
the penultimate episode of season 1. It's entitled Peppers.
Peppers.
I'm gonna call it that later. Peppers.
Okay.
Yeah. As tensions at the Pentagon come to a head, Jennifer faces a new surprising threat. Meanwhile, the Amazons hit the roadshow.
Now, in that description for next week's episode, they don't mention Yorick 355 or Dr. Mann. Please tell me they have to be in next week's episode, right?
Oh God. Please tell me that they're in next week's episode. Has to be.
Has to be. Hey, for everybody here at Double P Media, my name's Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at FitandTrim. That's FITTENTRIM, at FitandTrim on Twitter.
And my name is Catfish. You can hit me up at CJGman67 on Twitter, your 67th favorite CJG man.
Woo-hoo.
And we will talk to you next week on Double P Podcast presentation of
Z, the podcast you listen to after you watch
Why the Last Man.
Season 1 and Season 2 and Season 3 and Season 4 and Season 5, I tell ya.
And a movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's awesome.